And Are You Okay is a not safe for work podcast, so any young listeners are discouraged from continuing. However, we literally have no way to track that, so do whatever the hell you want and enjoy the show.
They hate you, Mando. They hate you. They've given you less money, Mando.
Mando, there's a gator in a golf course in Florida. I'm gonna need you to take care of him, Mando.
He took my twin brother's hand.
There's this real son of a bitch in Russia, Mando.
I could take care of him the first time. I don't understand why he didn't throw in the towel.
Man, R.I.P. the GOAT, Carl Weathers.
What is Grief Karga?
Well, speaking,
what is Grief Karga?
If not love, persevering. Yeah, speaking of Grief Karga, you're listening to Ani, Are You Okay?
A Star Wars podcast.
A Star Wars podcast. Your not safe for work take on the galaxy you know and love from far, far away. Yeah, we'll get the taglines down.
We're reporting. It's about the galaxy that you know far, far away being reported from not so far away.
Damn, there you go. Matt hitting him with the real professional ad lib right there. I'm over here like stuttering over my words. Like I can't even fucking turn my lightsaber on.
All right, Wim.
There's got to be a joke about erectile dysfunction in there somewhere. But
that flesh lightsaber.
I digress. So you may have noticed that we haven't had an episode out in a little bit, and that happens to be because we're getting sick left and right. But I think, Matt, you and I are finally on the mend.
The dark side of the force is a powerful, mysterious place.
Yes, and I don't like being there. I'm happy to be out in the light with the sun, twin suns shining bright.
You feel me?
And we have a plethora of, I think, like different Star Wars topics. But I think we also have to acknowledge, like, hey, Andor's around the corner. We're going to be regularly covering. There's going to be 3 episode drops, so happy to do so. We'll be bringing on a couple special guests throughout that process. Some of our previous guests who have been, big fans of the show and want to talk about it. But, we haven't
I remember the name.
Oh. Keep that pinned back behind your ear, Matt. They can't know about our pre-episode conversations.
All right, can I tell you about it and just cut this part out so in case I forget?
Yeah, hold on. Insert technical difficulties here. And we're back. And man, that was really funny. This Matt guy, he knows what he's doing.
I try. I just try to do my
thanks
best.
Thanks for dealing with us. Being, that's the magic of editing.
Hey,
that's just what we do.
We rarely do.
That's just what we do.
Little fun fact. Just to give flowers to our wonderful team, both here on DB4L and Ani, Are You Okay? A Star Wars podcast. But I had a conversation with my friend who's a fan of both podcasts. Shout outs to my homie Matt, also named Matt.
Thank you, Matt.
He, like other people that I've met in life, thought that our intros were all pre-recorded.
Really?
Yeah. And I've gotten that a lot from a lot of people. Because they're so the same every time and just on point. Most people that I've encountered thought that we just batch recorded our intros and just imposed them at the start of the episodes.
That is wild.
The intros and the outros.
Nope. I was gonna say no. We're all just that good. I think.
I was about to say
mostly you and Trav, but
oh no, we did. It was for both podcasts. It was like, yeah, I thought y'all guys just pre-recorded those and just edited them in the beginning and then. I was like, no, those are done in real time every time.
That's how we do it.
That's how we do it. That's how we do it.
We are
on this council and we have been granted the rank of master.
So as we acknowledge, Andor's coming around the corner, but that's not the only big Star Wars thing on the horizon. We have Star Wars Celebration that's coming up, and there's going to be a ton of Ani, Are You Okay coverage around that. Before we kind of dive into our topic for today, I would be remiss if I didn't say welcome to you if you are coming over from TikTok. Hey. We recently launched our TikTok with our good friend and new producer of Ani, Are You Okay?
A Star Wars podcast.
Sabilba?
That's it.
Bilba Fett? Sabilba? We're going with that?
Oh, damn. Those are really good. Those are both really, really good. Oh,
is he the
Bilba Fett?
Yeah, I can't even. Is it like the four? Is it the four engines that drive the background of this podcast?
1000%.
He's
Bilba Fett
protecting our
one, bro.
because and Matt, to keep things with the Stormtrooper Dejeen and Qui-Gon Mitchell of all things. I guess, is he our Cad Bane Johnson?
Ooh.
Because he's protecting our blind side.
He could be. He could be.
He's a dead eye.
Cad Bane Johnson is hilarious. I love it. we got the team, bro. We rounded out.
But yes, so thank you to Billy for putting together so much content for us to put out on TikTok. You know, we're recording them, but it's a lot of effort to not just edit the podcast, but get all those like things ready for social media. So to bring someone else onto our team has been greatly appreciated, and we're happy to have him. We're finding ways to incorporate him into some of our content in the future. So if you came from there, continue to like, continue to reshare, continue to tell your friends, tell your family. Tell your mistresses, I don't know, whatever you're doing.
This is what your mistresses can do while they're wasting time while you go back to your family. You know, while they're waiting for you to come back and cheat, they can listen to this podcast.
They're pulling the Peter Griffin where he has like a secret gay family.
Hell yeah. You know what it is?
Or the secret family where Peter's the wife.
That's what it is. This is for the secret nerd family that the guy lives. It's like 2 miles down the street. That's what it is. You know, his first family they're only into sports. They're like big sports fans. He can't nerd out with them. You know, he gets made fun of. Judgment. Has to watch Lord of the Rings with the volume all the way down. But with his second nerd family, boy, do they divulge.
All right, well, let's jump into the news topic for today. So if you are hyper diving right in, punch it, Matt.
Punching it, Mikey. It's been punched.
Okay, it's been punched. We're out there. The hyperspace is like, it's just that blue tunnel right now.
You know?
So several outlets reported this week about the Mandalorian Grogu's budget being the smallest of any Star Wars film since the prequels. Actually, since Return of the Jedi, I believe. And as we know, with inflation, like that money is worth a lot more. But I did do some digging, some mathing, hey, what does inflation look like for this, and how much does it like come into comparison with other films, blockbuster films that we have seen to date of recent note. And I don't think this is nearly as concerning as people are making it out to be. I also think that, Matt, you and I share a unique experience that is something to be of note. And that is that we have seen shows that have been specifically shot on the volume on the big screen in Ahsoka's episode 5. And I promise you that the budget of that episode was not that high. And I promise you it hit just as hard as you think it did.
Extremely hard.
So I do think that, you know, let's talk about the pros and cons of things for sure, but definitely want to get your read on it. Like, how much does this scare you in terms of like, you know, like, are we potentially watching them like really cheaping out here just to put Mando and Grogu on the big screen because they know it's kind of like their cash cow at the moment? Or do you think that this is just smoke and mirrors and they've really refined their kind of like strategy here about making this not only cost effective but also a fun ride for everybody to enjoy?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know what word I was trying to. Absolutely, it's a word now. But when you first sent me this article, funnily enough, I want to say it was the last episode we did together, but it was the episode where we kind of did our Star Wars News Network, where we covered a bunch of different topics, and we were kind of going over if we think that Star Wars, a lot like Marvel, might be transitioning to television being like their bread and butter, like, because like the shows have been hitting where the movies have been like, you know, some are for it, some are against it. When you first said this to me, I was just like, I actually took it as a potentially positive thing that maybe they're not trying to ground the movies more, but know that like they have a lot to work with and they don't have to throw millions and millions of dollars at these things. Like you just said with the Ahsoka episode 5, with a lot of the early seasons of Mandalorian, like a lot of that was shot in the volume. Like I haven't pocket watched like how much those episodes cost to make, but I know like a TV budget is much smaller than a movie budget. And I would say most people, I've loved Mando kind of through the whole thing, but I would probably say critically most people like the first 2 seasons are like usually people's like peak Mando time.
People weren't as impressed with season 3 as they were seasons 1 and 2.
Exactly.
And I think that's fair. That's a fair criticism. Yeah.
And we've talked about this on and off mic, double entendre, don't ask me how, that, you know, the production of that show, like it's like movie quality shit on TV. Like, and then also at the end of the day, it's Disney. They're not hurting for money. So it's like, I can't see it being in a world where just like, shit. We're over the luxury tax. We got to take away from something. Right. So I was like, I do see it as a strategic move, and it puts me in a place of optimism that maybe they're just like, hey, like it's Star Wars. People love Star Wars for the story, even though it's like a grandiose property IP. Like it's a space novel. Like it's obviously have to be really big, different species, different planets. Like it's going to be big, blockbuster budget style stuff. But it's like us hardcore fans love these characters. Like we love the development, we love the adventures that they go on, we love the camaraderie, the connection, the confusion, the, you know, like the dark side, the light side, the Jedi, the Sith. And I'm wondering if they're like finally starting to get like, they've put so many resources into like these shows and movies that they tried to make be like these giant spectacles, and a lot of people, us included, have said like, yeah, you didn't need to do that much. Like I would have liked this regardless. You could have pulled it back a bit and I would have enjoyed it just as much. So I wonder if that's them noticing like, if we build it, they'll come. Like we don't have to throw millions and millions and millions to make this good. It'll be good. And last point, revisiting a gripe that I know me and you share all the time, like Star Wars is at its best when they use practical effects. Like when they CGI the fuck out of it, it takes me out of it. When it's just like, when I see an alien that easily could have been somebody in prosthetics, I'd be like, come on, bro, you cutting corners. And like, it's crazy because one would imagine, again, I'm not too particular, Mike, I'm sure you might be able to speak more to it with what you do outside of this. Like having something full of CGI characters, I would feel like maybe more expensive than having.
It is sometimes, yeah.
So I'm hoping that it's Star Wars. They're never going to give up on Star Wars. Disney's always going to Disney. They're always going to make sure they put their money where their mouth is, or put their mouth where their money is. So it's like, I don't see the lowered budget. At least my take on the lowered budget is that maybe now they're finally tapping into like, yeah, if we just appease to what Star Wars was originally and like kind of get back to grassroots, then, you know, we don't need to break bank, so to speak, to do this. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see like, you know, like what they do with less, because I feel like it might be quality over quantity, which that's my favorite type of Star Wars. You know?
Yeah, for sure. And I also think that there's this is definitely a point that we can probably expand upon, but I also think it's a perfect time to bring it up because you kind of mentioned it. The practical effect side of things, when you make that stuff, yes, there's like the natural deterioration of materials, but at the same time, how much do you think over, because we're 5 to 6 seasons of Star Wars live action television in now, maybe more, you know, actually definitely more, because we have 3 seasons of Mando, 1 season of Ahsoka, that's 4, Skeleton Crew, that's 5, Andor, that's another one, Obi-Wan, that's another one.
Yeah.
Am I missing?
I was about to say, I feel like one's missing, but yeah, Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah. So how much practical effects do you think that maybe Lucasfilm has been creating with intention of using again, which brings down the budget, right? So like we're talking about, you know, models or and that's here's another aspect of it too, right? Like I'm not saying that the actual animation doesn't cost anything, but the 3D model catalog that they have of certain ships might be something that's like, okay, it's incorporated into the budget of one of these previous things, but it's being reused for the Mandalorian and Grogu, right? So there's all of these things that we kind of have. Like if we go to Tatooine, the amount of Tatooine assets they have from Book of Boba Fett and Mandalorian season 1 and 2 is immense. And they don't have to recreate that stuff, right? So you're finding ways to reuse it. That's smart on their part for building a catalog essentially of practical effects that they can use and digital effects that they can reuse. So I think that there's something to be said about, we don't necessarily want to be going to the same places over and over again. But if the stuff can be repurposed, then it's not going to cost them nearly as much. And I think that that's something that like Lucasfilm in particular is going to benefit a lot from. It's not like and we constantly compare to Marvel just because of the Disney connection, but for really any cinematic universe, we have to kind of call out the fact that the styles of the films, for like, even if we go to like Zack Snyder's DCU, right? They're vastly different from each other.
Yeah, big fact.
So like you have to kind of keep in mind that like with Star Wars all having the same aesthetic, you're able to maybe use things on different planets that you weren't expecting, or like, you know, an alien doesn't change change the way it looks just because it's somewhere else. You might want to like differentiate them somehow, provide like scars to it or something. But like, you know, there's all sorts of things you can do to kind of like update an existing design and then go from there. But like the 3D models for Mando's N1, like those are created. I wonder how much that saves like in the long run.
Yeah. Really quick, I just want to put on top of that point with you. It's just like, I think something that the shows do really well that the movies could definitely stand to take from. We've had a common thing come up when we talk about these movies, and we talk about like how quick people get found on a big ass planet. Like you're on a planet and somehow you get found in like 10-15 minutes. It's like it's a whole planet. How did they find you that quickly? But something that I feel like the movie doesn't do as well, and obviously to a point that you said, like it's at the most on the high end of 2.5 hour movie, so there's only like so much world building you can do. But to your point of what you're saying about like the how the shows look aesthetically versus the movies, I feel like something that the shows do really well, especially Obi-Wan and Ahsoka, is like it allows us to feel the bigness of the galaxy, because it's like we're actually exploring different places. Like the part in Obi-Wan when he was on that planet and saw like a homeless clone trooper begging for change and shit like that is like, oh yeah, like there are so many people who have been affected by the war that like is going on. Like we're actually able to touch these people and see what Andor did that great. You got to see like what the people who are actually being stepped on by the Empire, how they were going through. Like in the movies, the galaxy is like a background piece, is part of the narrative, and I feel like in the shows the galaxy is part of the narrative. Like it is the narrative as opposed to being part of it. Like these different places. So it was like. Again, going to the less being more, like the movies possibly could stand to take some of that, the tonality of the shows, and like actually like dig deeper. Because like you said, who wants to go back to the same places over and over again? But if it's in the interest of reusing assets, like Tatooine is a planet. Like is more than just most
it's vastly
like
populated.
Yeah, right. So it's just like, why can't we go to the dark side of Tatooine? Like, what's on the other side of the planet? like what's the opposite of like, you know, Aunt Beru and Uncle Owen's house? Like,
I'm naming the episode Darkside of Tatooine.
There we go. I love it. But it's just like, I feel like that's such low hanging fruit where it's just like, all right, we don't have to create a new planet that's going to cost money, and people might be underwhelmed because like we're giving you a new planet, but we're not going to explore the shit. We're just going to look in one isolated area, like one small ass town. So, but it's just like, yeah, like if we want to revisit planets, give us more of the planet. Like just show us like we even with Obi-Wan, he parked up like 2 blocks down from Uncle Owen's house. It's still the same pocket of Tatooine that we've always seen. You know? Like,
yeah, the only new pocket of Tatooine is it's Freetown now.
Yeah, like facts. Like, but I like that. Like you picking up on that. Like the shows look different than the movies, and maybe this having a lower budget from Mando and Jon Favreau and Dave being involved, maybe they're like, hey, like maybe what we're doing with the shows will translate into a movie, and like they'll take. And
I definitely think it's going to. I feel like a broken record because I've just been making this point for probably the past few months, but I just want, if you were going to do this instead of Mando season 4, I just want the story to be worth it.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
Yeah,
everything else is kind of like, you know, you could have a movie that costs like $350 million, which is like twice the budget of this, and just not be good because the story's not very good. Like, I just want it to, if it's going to be a movie, if we're going to put it in theaters, I think it needs to warrant that. Because I would really hate to be like, no, this is something that could have been a TV show and we put it on the big screen, as opposed to The Siege of Mandalore, which is a TV show but should be on the big screen.
You're right.
You know what I mean?
Like it's reverse Captain and Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
But no, that's a really good point. Do we know for a fact that this movie is in place of the next season as opposed to like leading into more TV shows? Because it's like,
there have been a lot of conflicting
where do you
reports.
go from after a movie? Do you go back to doing it as a show after this? Like,
I think that it definitely depends on how much story they have left for Mando and Grogu leading into whatever the conflict with Thrawn is,
right.
Because I know that Dave Filoni's movie is supposed to tie everything up, but there's a whole another season of Ahsoka that's supposed to happen.
Grogu's still a baby. He could be around for anything.
Yeah, I feel like they're going to be maybe hesitant to age him up, although we'll see, right? Like, maybe this is an opportunity for them to age him up. Maybe he's hitting his like teenage Groot phase.
I didn't mean necessarily age him up. I just meant like in terms of like stories being able to continue past this movie. Like, you know, obviously
sure.
Din isn't going to be alive for forever. He's a human. So but it's just like Grogu can like continue on if they want to continue tapping into this. But you were saying that there's been like conflicting reports as to whether or not like how they're
so a lot of people were saying when the movie news came out that season 4 was not happening because season 4 is turned into a movie instead, and I think other people have been like, no, season 4 is still happening, it's just like a ways off. And I really don't know like what the accuracy of those reports are. I think we're gonna have to just take this and see where does Mando and Grogu end up at the end of it.
Yeah,
right.
That's a good point.
And then kind of be like, is there more room for storytelling for these two characters prior to Dave's movie? And that's going to be very telling. I don't think because Jon Favreau is like heavily involved with this, he's directing it, like it's his movie. I could see it being like a quote unquote send off or end to like them being like the main characters of the story, but I think it would be so ridiculous to not have them involved in like the final conflict.
Yeah, facts. And like they've been dancing around, I won't say like an Avengers level team up, but like they've been dancing around with like Mando interacting with more people that we know. Like
we know for sure that he'll be interacting with Zeb in this movie.
Love that.
So if he's connecting himself to the Ghost Crew in some way, that's where I was going with that. I feel like they've been planting seeds. I was just like, we would love to have Din interact with characters who have existed before him, just like get that dynamic, very much akin to Marvel. Was just like, I just didn't want to say Avengers team because it's like I don't want to see him on a mission alongside Luke Skywalker. Like, I'm cool. I don't know if they're going to pull in like the original trilogy characters, which is kind of like feels like it would be potentially a missed opportunity. But I also almost feel like they've been doing so much with the deep fake stuff. I'm like, do you really want to do that for an entire movie or series with Luke?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
like just recast him.
Or just let the Skywalkers do their own thing. Like I don't
right. That's
like with the Ahsoka tying and like her and Luke having a relationship that's canon now. Like if he's in it and interacting with her, I wouldn't be like too upset with it. But it's like, I don't need him and Din like interacting any more than what we've already seen. And, like I don't need Luke to be on the final frontier for the final battle. Like I'm cool.
Yeah, like and I could imagine that like they're not going to not include Boba Fett either. So like, what are we going to have Luke and Boba Fett like come to terms with each other?
Yeah,
or like,
right.
Are they going to bring Alden Ehrenreich back to play Han Solo and like have him and Boba be buddy? Like, I just doubt that's going to happen. Right?
Yeah, because that's actually a good point that I didn't even think about. Like, if you bring Luke in to interact with original trilogy characters as part of like the Mandoverse, like it kind of, I feel like it cheapens it. Because like, why wouldn't Han and Leia be a part of it? But it's just like Harrison Ford is way too old. So like,
they'd have to bring in
even like
Alden,
deep fake Harrison Ford is way too old, and then obviously Carrie Fisher passed. So it's just like, I don't necessarily want to see Luke interact with original trilogy characters and not have his team with him, because like why wouldn't he? Especially like if it's a team up to take down Thrawn is the ultimate baddie of this, like, you know, this corner of Star Wars, like why wouldn't he hit up Han and Leia and be like, you need help?
But I also think it's like the other aspect of things where it's like, if he doesn't get involved, why is he not involved?
Right.
Like there should be a really good reason for it, because he built a hero of the rebellion, and like the rebellion is part of, you know, things like, so we'll see. Well, you know, there's a lot of storytelling left to be made. I'm sure that they have a plan. They don't strike me as, I mean, this is the same like creative group that's responsible for, you know, 3 seasons of Avatar: The Last Airbender ending so perfectly, with so many characters coming back and being a part of that, like
such a great show, final
conflict. You know what I mean? Like that was Dave's brain. Like he was the showrunner on there. You know, obviously the writers were different, but you know, he learned a lot from it. But you can also look at the long form storytelling of Clone Wars and Rebels, and Dave is very much involved with those, and a lot of through lines there come to a you know, like a pinnacle point there. Yeah. So.
And that's why I brought it up, because he's known for like bringing everyone together finally. It's like, I don't know if I necessarily need everyone together for this.
Yeah, it doesn't necessarily, like, that's the other thing too, where it's like, I don't need everyone together. I don't need this. If the skeleton crew or whatever is like involved, it can be like maybe like a small little thing, but then like Jod is like a big part of whatever happens.
Yeah, like if they need to go to At-Atin, like I wouldn't be upset with that being like the cameo, like it. But it's like I don't need them to help. Like if
they don't need their own separate part of the storyline.
Yeah, where they're like they could be like a pit stop on the way to beat Thrawn. Like, you know, so we need money. I know a
celebration of their like. I guess a celebration of their impact on this portion of the timeline as a cameo would be enough for me.
1,000%. And I feel most of the way about the characters outside of the ones who like have active shows running in the Mandoverse right now. Yeah, I don't necessarily need everybody to come back to help.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I think shocker to no one, I'm going to be very pissed if Ezra's not heavily involved. But hey,
yeah, if you've already announced that Zeb's around, and we know that the cast of the Ghost Crew has reunited. Well, most of them, Zeb's a pilot now, but it's like, why wouldn't you give the people what they want?
Yeah.
On live action on screen.
I'm people. I don't know how many people want them, but I'm people,
bro. And I want. If you claim to be a Star Wars fan and it's not on your bingo card to see the live action reunion of the Ghost Crew, you're not a Star Wars fan.
Tell him, man. Tell him.
Just saying.
We can go back to the Mando, but quick aside here. I was looking at the Star Wars 2025
aside of interest.
Yeah. Oh, nice. Like the panels and stuff. And if you happen to be listening to this and also happen to be going to Japan, I would love to hear your thoughts.
Listener.
I know, right? I would love to hear your thoughts when you get back about if you happen to attend. They are screening the last 4 episodes of the Clone Wars on the big screen. So the Siege of Mandalore.
Ooh.
And they're also screening the 2-episode Rebels finale on the big screen. I would love to hear what it's like, because I would love to watch those movies on a movie theater screen.
And it's only happening in Japan?
Yeah, I know.
That's upsetting.
At Celebration, but it's the place for it, right? Like that.
Oh yeah, I'm about to say can't really knock that decision.
Would love to be in that room, but obviously I will be here in the States where everything's falling apart.
It's okay, because we have another anniversary and a re-released movie coming out that I know that me and you will be attending.
We will. And Matt, I mean, you're obviously like at the top of the list, but I don't know if it's just like the way you move through life and people understand that like this Star Wars is a big deal for me, and Star Wars is like a big deal for other people too. Maybe not as much as you and I, but I have had like not exaggerating, I think 17 different people be like, so we're going to see this, right?
Let's go.
So I'm like, do I have to rent out a movie theater.
Right, is that what you're saying?
For me and all my friends who want to watch Revenge of the Sith with me on the big screen. But don't worry, Matt. If they're in 4DX, we will be in those seats together.
We 1000% 40X in that one.
Can you imagine the opening of fucking
non-negotiable?
Oh
my
yeah.
God.
Oh man.
I want to be doing. We're gonna actually be coming in too hot.
Oh my god. Oh my god. I didn't even think about that.
Oh man. Or when the fucking elevator shaft, bro.
Yeah. I'm gonna be like, well, at least we're still flying half a seat.
Oh yeah. Oh man, when his fate will be the same with ours, that whole scene, we're gonna be thrown around in that joke. He said, "Leave him, or we'll never make it."
His fate will be the same as ours. Okay. All right. Back to the Mando movie budget news. Okay, so I think another like big portion of this that people are like kind of concerned about is how it stacks up to just in general, right? Like, okay, the budget for the movie is 166.4 million, and they're like, that's the cheapest since Return of the Jedi, and obviously adjusted for inflation, like
when money was actually worth something.
It is much higher, but also like there were a few like notable blockbusters I looked up, and I'm going to do the same right now. Spider-Man No Way Home's budget,
and that was a big one,
was 200 million. So we're coming in 44 million under.
And that
No Way Home,
and that was a star-studded affair.
Exactly. So okay. And this is another point I wanted to bring up, right? Like, we're talking Toby, Andrew, Tom, Benedict Cumberbatch, Zendaya, Jon Favreau, J.K. Simmons, Marissa Tomei, like, so Benedict Wong, like not to mention Alfred Molina, Willem Dafoe,
Jamie Foxx,
like I didn't even. So there's just so much star power in that movie, and the budget's only 44 million more. Like, we have to take into consideration that I think a lot of what is kind of going on or being done from a budget standpoint is likely special effects because, and let's be real, like, I think a lot of people were upset by this, but I thought it was just the nature of the business and how things were going. Not to mention his career has just kind of taken off in a way that I don't think anybody was quite anticipating, but completely earned. Pedro Pascal,
yeah, he's like
is not in the suit. Yeah, he's not in the suit nearly as much as he used to be, and that's fine. Because the two other actors who are doing the gunslinging and like other fighting portrayal are just as much Mando as he is. Yeah. So
and I would imagine Pedro, in this film, he's 1000% not going to miss an opportunity to take off the helmet. Like, I feel like
probably not. We will have to see, right? But that being said, I just don't think that maybe Pedro, the cost for him to be a part of this movie, maybe just wasn't as much.
Yeah.
And then when you look at the
contractually wise, I think like business wise, and I could totally be off bases with this, but I'm pretty sure I'm not. I do believe that there are like different tiers of like pay scale, like versus like having your voice versus like if you're physically on screen. And as like as an actor and as a business, like this is a major blockbuster Disney film. Like there's no way I'm not having my face on that screen at least one time, like before these credits roll. Like that would be a crazy oversight by his agent if they didn't like, you know, negotiate like, all right, he needs to be physically seen on here at least, you know, like this amount of times. Because if I was Disney going to the budgetary thing and he's like only lending his voice, and I'm not paying him top dollar, like, oh, you're not going to be here, like you're just because he could effectively do his job in like a day.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, there is a part of me that wonders if he will be doing that, because it could just be a nice thing for Pedro in terms of the fact that like they made such a big deal about him getting back his or being accepted back into the like Mandalorian cult of, you know,
right,
regaining his honor, and taking the helmet off,
right. And
with him filming The Last of Us,
off, like maybe, you know,
right.
We get the Vader
with him filming The Last of Us season 2 and
also
Fantastic Four,
also true.
Like there's just like so much that he's been a part of. I could see it like being just something that ends up working out for the story and for like from a budget standpoint. So like there's that aspect of things for sure that are part of it. I also, if Zeb is going to be in it, and we talked about this earlier, digital assets, like I would be surprised if Steve Blum wasn't doing mocap.
Right.
However, that being said, the model was created, right? Like they made the Zeb model, even if it was just a cameo for the Mandalorian season 3, it may have been with intentions to use it here. Right. So like there are a lot of things that I think like factor into that. And let's talk about the other stars in the movie. Sigourney Weaver, definitely A-list. Jeremy Allen White, if he's not A-list, he's
on his way.
About to be.
Yeah, he's well on the B+ list.
So there's definitely some star power in the movie, and we'll have to see how things play out. I would not be surprised in the slightest if we are not being told the full, I guess, like cast list from a surprise standpoint for purely for
1000% cameos, like
cameos and in addition to that,
and it will
plot protection.
I was just about to say, like saying that Rosario Dawson's in it kind of lets you know that they get off the plan, like the Purgle plan. Right?
I don't think she will be. I think this
movie
is definitely
that as an example, like for like why like say like, oh, these are the people that are showing up, because it could give away other shows that haven't shot shit yet for sure. But but even along with that, to tie into your point with Spider-Man, going along like the whole crux of this, like with the lower budget, this, if they treat this like how they present the show just in movie form, like outside of like the principal, like the main cast, this might not be a situation where they have hundreds and hundreds of extras. Like this could be like the main people will probably be the people who are on the screen the majority of the time. If that makes sense. Like
it does
with the big budget movies. It's like, like you have hundreds of extras, large cast, look at like, Endgame, Infinity War, like all the shit in Wakanda, you got hundreds and hundreds of people, Wakandans, like, that you got to pay. But like with this story, if it is going to be like kind of in the vein of the adventures of Din and Grogu, they could get away with not having a super gigantic cast. Like if a lot of it's them traveling places and like seeing people and engaging in like, completing whatever mission it is, like that could also be a contributing factor. It's like why they don't need to, like, the budget isn't that crazy. Like they only have to pay but so many people. And then going back to, like you said, Pedro might not even be there. So it's like, all right, his paycheck ain't gonna be crazy. Like it's gonna be crazy, but not crazy.
Right. It can be Crazy Bread's Little Caesars, not crazy bread. Yeah.
Facts. A little bit off. Not crazy, a little bit
just
off.
A little.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like they're still invited, but you gotta can you just keep an eye on them?
Yeah. It's like I'm not gonna tell you that you can't drink, but I'm watching how many drinks you have. I'm just monitoring you.
And you can take your mistress from the joke earlier and leave.
Exactly.
Okay.
Because your real family, they only like sports. They wouldn't come to this. They wouldn't come to this movie.
Right.
You gotta take the secret family to this. Got to. Hey, bring them on to our 40X experience for episode 3.
If they start making out, we're kicking them out of the seats.
Oh yeah, hell yeah! I don't see how you would have you could line up to make out in the 40X seats. A lot of movement.
Remember, they're a little bit off. So
yeah, you're right. True. Very true. I'm imagining. I would hope that in the final fight, when Anakin goes to do the flip, they just do something really unnecessary, throwing you around when he does.
Yeah.
Like in that final part.
For sure.
That would just the cherry on top. Just toss us around when he does the flip. Obi-Wan's like, don't try it. And then we just get tossed the fuck around.
It'd be so wild if they were like, why do the 40X seats have buckles this time?
Oh yeah, you actually flip? Yeah, that would be nuts. They give you a warning at the beginning of the movie, like, hey, you could turn off this flip if you want, but there's one full rotation in this movie. That would be nuts. That'd be crazy. 5DX, that's what that is. Like, where they could actually
5DX,
where they spin you around.
Because you're going, you go vertical.
Hell yeah, it's the next wave. But no, I'm super excited. I'm super excited about all this shit. Like I say, I'm gonna hold fast that. And I'm, again, not saying that it's coincidental that we had the conversation about, hey, maybe try less and we might like it more. And then this report comes out after we did that episode. Not saying that we have our fingerprints on the pulse of the culture, but,
well, they say you got to be in the know to know. And I think we know.
You know?
Well, Matt, that has kind of been our discussion over the Mando budget. And as we teased at the beginning of the episode, lots more Star Wars stuff to come. So keep your eyes peeled here and on TikTok and on Instagram and on Blue Sky, where we post about new episodes. We appreciate any new and returning listeners. So thank you for joining us on Annie, Are You Okay? You can find us at all those places at the letters ANI, Are You Okay Pod on Instagram, no longer Twitter, and TikTok. That's where we are. That's where we're at. You can also follow our sister podcast where Matt and our girlfriend Travis handle all things anime, specifically Dragon Ball, but we definitely are breaking outside of our boundaries here, talking about all sorts of different things.
Announcements on the way.
Announcements on the way, in addition to our Dragon Call series where Matt and Travis interview any content creators, voice actors, people who are ingrained into the anime culture at present and just kind of nerddom in general. So definitely go check out some of those episodes as well. We will see you soon. But for now, why don't you close this bad boy out for us, Matt?
Got you good, brother. Well, Animaniacs, just like we always say here in a galaxy not so far away, it could be a reduced movie budget. It could be LaToya Luckett. It could be 10-piece chicken McNugget. Or it can be Ray. Life can be a beat.
Life can be barbecue sauce.
Life can be a picnic, but as long as no sand gets in your food, you guessed it, Anakin J. Skywalker is gonna be.
He gonna be okay.
He gonna be okay.
He gonna be okay. All right.
Say your line.
May the force be with you, man. I was getting there. I was laughing first.
You're right, my bad, bro. And with you, later, nerds.
Deuces.